It's been a very busy summer at Portman Road, but the window is now slammed shut. So join me in this video as we go through all the transfer business at Ipswich Town this summer. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Harvey Bell, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you do enjoy today's video, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video down below. We are going to get onto all the players that have come in a moment, but first, let's say goodbye to some players who have left the club. Caden Jackson, Dominic Ball, Václav Halaki and Nick Hayes all left the club at the beginning of the transfer window as their contracts expired. They all leave with the club's best wishes, and I'm sure the best wishes of the fans as well. Freddie Ladapo's contract was paid up on the final day of the transfer window. Mutual termination of that contract agreed, and he's now free to go and find another club. Player that has, of course, done well across the last couple of seasons that he's been with Ipswich for, so he leaves again with the best wishes of the fans. And then Marcus Harness, Cameron Humphreys and George Edmondson have all gone out on loan. Edmondson's gone to Borough, Harness has gone to Derby and Humphreys has gone to Wickham. So I'm sure everybody joins me in wishing them the best across the next season, and who knows what their futures hold at Portman Road. But moving on to the players that have come into the club, and the first signing of the window was Amari Hutchinson. Now, of course, everyone was really excited about this one. A statement of intent from the owners. Absolutely smashed the club record transfer fee to bring Hutchinson in for £20 million. Here with us on loan last season, made a big impression, big part of us getting promoted to the Premier League, and based on the first couple of games, it looks like it's going to be a really good bit of business to have brought him in on a permanent transfer. Following him was Ben Johnson on a free transfer. He had made most of his appearances for West Ham United in the Premier League, so bringing in some Premier League experience at the right back slot. The jury is still out on him a little bit. A mixed couple of first games. Some people not convinced, others saying that he's really good going forward, but ultimately it's a low risk signing on a free transfer. He brings with him Premier League experience. He's been playing in the top flight for the last few years on and off for West Ham, so I think it's a smart bit of business and excited to see what he can bring over the next few months. Jacob Greaves was the next through the door from Hull City. £15 million for a centre-back is a massive price tag and brings with it lots of expectations. Early signs that he's going to live up to those expectations. He's tall, he's athletic, he puts in a brilliant challenge, looks really fearless, looks like he wants to pretty much just take out any striker that he's up against. Really like the look of him. Hull City fans were gutted to lose him. Lots of them said that they expect him to be in the England squad next year. And honestly, based on what I've seen of him so far, if Town can start picking up some results, I wouldn't be too quick to disagree with them. I think he's looked like a really good player, and I'm so excited to see what comes from him over the next couple of seasons. Playing with him last year was Liam Delap, and Liam Delap is now also an Ipswich Town player. He joined from Manchester City following his loan spell with Hull City last year. And if Jacob Greaves is the best player to come out of Hull City, well, Liam Delap is giving him for a run for his money, because so far he has been very impressive. A £15 million price tag, £5 million in potential add-ons, but honestly, he looks like he's worth every penny. He's played against Liverpool and their centre-back Kwanzaa had to be taken off at half-time because he couldn't cope with Delap. Delap played really well against Manchester City in a game where he didn't have too much to do because there wasn't the service for him against that level of opponent, but he still made an impression. And of course, a first goal of the season against Fulham in what was an all-round really impressive performance. He's got pace, he's strong, holds the ball up well, good finish on him, so looks like he could be a really, really good striker. Fifth through the door was Aro Muric, and with Václav Halaki leaving the club, we did know that Town were going to be in the market for a goalkeeper. Pretty much almost a bit of a swap going on with Burnley. They got Václav Halaki on a free transfer, but we had to pay £8 million to them to get Aro Muric in. A goalkeeper that came with the pedigree of playing out from the back. That's what he was known for. Good shot stopper, 6'7". Hasn't really impressed in his first couple of games for Town. Away at Manchester City, made a couple of glaring errors that led to goals. Didn't really impress in the Fulham game either, it has to be said, but still very early days and there could be a lot more to come from him. We then had a couple of weeks or so without signing a player before Connor Townsend from West Brom came through the door. A backup left back, you would assume, behind Leif Davis in the pecking order, but experienced, has played in the top flight, got a lot of experience at championship level as well. Somebody that pretty much has plied his trade as a left back his entire career and just knows the role inside out. So very steady pair of feet to have behind Leif Davis if Davis was to get injured or became unavailable for whatever reason. I think this was a smart bit of business, £750,000. That every signing needs to cost £25 million. So I think this makes a lot of sense to have brought Townsend in, and he impressed me against Wimbledon in the Cup actually. Then it was time for the marquee signing of the window, Kalvin Phillips from Manchester City. Of course, a player that has played in the final of the Euros for England. Difficult couple of seasons, struggling to get into the Manchester City squad. Disastrous loan spell at West Ham United. A player that needs to get his career back on track. And honestly, I think Ipswich Town is the place to do it. He played against Fulham. He played against Wimbledon in the Cup. 60 minutes in both of those games. Looked impressive in those 60 minutes. Still can tell that he's getting up to fitness, lacking a bit of match sharpness. But what he did well. He left the pitch against Fulham by throwing his hands up to the fans. He left to a standing ovation. So all good signs that he is going to be able to recapture some of his best form. And if that happens, Ipswich Town have got a hell of a player on their hands, as they already do have with Sammy Szmodics. Now, this was a transfer saga that went on for weeks and weeks. Every time the deal looked like it was done, Blackburn Rovers asked for a little bit more money. And can you blame him? He was the top goal scorer in the Championship last season with 28 goals to his name, so they would not want to let him go cheaply. He's proved so far in an Ipswich shirt that he could go on to be very much worth that money. He scored away at Manchester City. He's looked impressive in his few touches. Of course, Ipswich fans knew lots about him anyway because he scored against us for multiple different opponents. He's played against us multiple different times over the last few years. So it's really nice to finally see him in an Ipswich Town shirt. Next through the door was Yenquist, a Swedish international midfielder in on loan from Napoli. 6'3", combative, gets stuck into the tackle, looked impressive when he came off the bench against Fulham, played well in the Cup. Not really sure how much game time he's going to get behind Kalvin Phillips and Sam Morsy. Is he ahead of Massimo Luongo in the pecking order? I'm not sure. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But still a good option to have in that midfield. Somebody that's young, and we do have the obligation to buy if we do end up staying up for about 12 or 13 million pounds. So if we stay up, he's as good as our player. So I'm going to get behind him, and hopefully he has a really good season whilst he's here. The next signing through the door was Jack Clarke from Sunderland. Now, if Kalvin Phillips was the standout signing of the window, this is probably a close second. Somebody that done very well for Sunderland in the Championship last season, was the top goal scorer up until Christmas, playing on the wing. He's a player that's had loan spells with Stoke City, Queen's Park Rangers, Leeds United, plied his trade at Tottenham for a while. That's where he came through the ranks. Was very, very well thought of there. He had a big price tag when he moved to Sunderland. We've now signed him for £15 million with another £5 million in potential add-ons. And he's got a lot of potential to live up to, a big price tag to live up to. But this is somebody that's very skillful with his feet, somebody that has the ability to cut in and shoot. Really good cross on him. And as I just said, bags and bags of potential. And that's what we've bought here. Somebody that is willing to make that step. Somebody that it's time to make that step, because we've spoken about potential for this player for a long time. And I think this could be the season now in the top flight, in a team that's hungry, ambitious to achieve, where we really start to see the best of Jack Clarke. I think this is a real coup for Ipswich Town, and this is just very, very exciting to see how his career unfolds. And hopefully that will be at Portman Road for years to come. Our final defender through the door was Dara O'Shea of Burnley. Now, this one was rumoured for a couple of weeks before it ended up happening. He's a ball-playing centre-back. Lots of business done with Burnley over this summer in both directions. I'm not surprised to see that we got another centre-back through the door, because it seems like we're going to be playing with 3 centre-backs in a lot of our games this year. So as many centre-backs as we can have is probably a good thing. Good to have depth, good to have competition. Haven't seen much of him yet. He played against Wimbledon in the Cup, so reserving judgment. Of course, that was a bit of a strange night anyway, so no real judgment on him yet. But Burnley fans seem to rate him. They seem to say that when they were in the Premier League last season, he grew into the season, started a bit slowly, but by the end of the season, he was a player that was really exciting. They were a little bit sad to let him go. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how he does, but he's been bought for a reason, and I'm excited to see how the Republic of Ireland international does. And a fellow Republic of Ireland international, and the final signing of the window was Shedozie Ogbenny, a right winger. He ended up playing right wing back against Fulham, so maybe that's where we're going to see him. Somebody that we bought from Luton for £8 million. He was playing in the Premier League last season and was so fast that it was only actually Mickey van der Ven of Tottenham that recorded a faster speed than him throughout the entire season. So looks like he's got pace to burn. He's going to be in competition probably with Ben Johnson and Burns for that starting spot down the right hand side. I was impressed with him from what I saw. He looks like he's somebody that wants to take people on. Looks like somebody that's going to try and fly into the box when the crosses are coming in from the other side. I think this could be a really good bit of business. I was surprised by it when it happened because we did already have a number of wingers. Our attacking depth is looking really strong. So I was a little bit surprised to see it happen. But ultimately, I'm glad we got it over the line and it completed for me what was a very, very impressive transfer window. Town spent over £105 million in the end, which is absolutely crazy to think, but that is the price that things cost, I guess, when you're in the Premier League and you're as ambitious as we are as a club. Let me know down in the comments if you're happy with our transfer business. I know I certainly am. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.